Spirit of God in the clear running water, blowing to greatness the trees on the hill. Blow, blow, blow till I hear the breath of the Spirit blowing in me.
Hello, welcome to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Barbara Kirsch. Welcome.
Welcome, Geraldine. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on this show, and I know you've been on the show before, so it's great to have you back.
It's the fourth time.
Wow. But you're a person of many talents, and you've got so much to share that because God is using you in such wonderful ways.
Yes, I am very blessed.
For those people who haven't heard your story, how did you come to have such a vivacious, strong faith?
I think I've always had it. My mother actually said to me, "How do we get somebody as holy as you?" And I just looked at her because the last thing I think of is that I'm holy. But I've always gone to Mass on a Sunday. And then I went up to South Australia to a wedding. And this person came and they sat next to me. And then another person came. So in actual fact, I was sitting one side of this man and the other lady was sitting the other side. And we started talking, and he started talking about God. And then he said, "How about if we go into the bedroom," because it was his sister's place we were at, "and pray?" And the other lady said, "Oh, my son's a Baptist minister and I'm not going to pray with him and I'm not going to pray." I said, I leant over him and I said, "It's all right, I'm going to pray." So I went in and he closed the door and I thought, "Oh no, I don't think I should have done this." And then, being a Catholic, I knelt down and I thought, we'll say the Hail Mary, go back in and have a glass of wine. And he said, "No, sit on the bed." And I thought, oh no, he could push me down. So I was very concerned then. And then he started to prophesy over me. And he said, "You are going to go to the four corners of the earth. You are going to prophesy, you are going to heal, and you're going to speak.
Wow.
And you are gregarious." Well, I didn't know the meaning of gregarious, so I had to go home and look that up in the dictionary. Well, today, of course, you'd look it up on your phone, but then you didn't have phones. And so I just felt a different person. And I came out, it was the day after the wedding. I kissed everybody who was there, and I only knew about 4 people. So the rest, 50 people, I kissed them. And then I said to them, "I'm going to America on Tuesday," this was Sunday, "and I don't need a plane. I can just fly."
So you had an experience of God, and it really, you were like stepping out in faith and ready to go.
Exactly.
Ready to
I
be
loved it.
ready to be used by God. So
Yes.
you felt the power of the Holy Spirit.
Yes, and that was 45 years ago.
Fantastic, and you're still going strong.
Yes, I am.
Yes, and I've noticed that you have a good sense of humor. What gives you this good sense of humor?
Oh, that's the DNA, because my father had a very good sense of humour. I just love the way in which everything was turned into a joke. I didn't have a sense of humour, I'd say, as a child, but I think once I gave my life to the Lord, it came out.
Wow.
Just surfaced. And now people tell me, "Quieten down a bit. Don't laugh so loud." But I just think that it's a huge blessing from the Lord to have a sense of humour. And people don't feel threatened by you if you can make a joke out of something.
Yes.
I'm not saying put the Lord down, not at all. But if they tell you something and you can laugh at it, then they think, "Oh, she's not all that holy." So I can tell her whatever's wrong.
That's right. I liked it when I talked to you before, and you were saying that when you met your to-be husband, you actually said, something like, oh, I've done a lot of religious stuff today. Tonight I want to dance and be happy.
Exactly. I can remember one New Year's Eve, Father Victor Ferruccio put on a midnight mass, and when it was, we used to always go back because my husband was the first one in Victoria to start the Christmas lunch for people off the street.
Wow.
And he was doing that for years before I came on the scene, and then I joined him. And Father Vic used to have us over on New Year's Eve after Mass, just about 6 of us, who worked on the Christmas luncheon, because Christmas Day was for other people, it wasn't for us. We worked really hard.
Yeah.
And that was sort of our little time.
Nice, yeah.
And this time he came up and he said, I'm really, really tired. And he actually said, I'm buggered. And I said, because I was married by this time to a very holy man, and I said, Father, please don't swear in front of Mark. And we then joined this other crowd who are still our friends today.
Wow. And you kept putting on those soup kitchens for a long time, or Christmas lunches.
Yes, but out of the Christmas lunch came a soup kitchen Tuesday and Thursday night.
Wow, every week. That's fantastic.
Every week. So,
and who was that run by? Like,
well, Lorella DiPolo and her mother, Tina.
Ah, wow.
They were the main. Tina used to make beautiful soup for them. They were really good to the people in that area, because this was in East Brunswick.
Fantastic.
And at this stage, we lived part of that time in Mansfield, so we had to come down, and part of the time in Roval.
Wow, and that's fantastic. And you got sponsors for it?
For the plum puddings, we did. And the name of the guy was Stevens Plum Puddings.
Oh, wow.
And they were $80 because we always, every year, bought our own plum pudding. It was $80.
Wow.
And he gave, the first time Mark and Father Vic put on the dinner,
Yeah.
they had 27 people.
Wow.
Mark got to 83, and what actually happened is that he had 510 people and 70 volunteers.
That's
so he had to
amazing.
provide a 4-course meal.
Wow.
So he
That's
was
wonderful.
pretty phenomenal.
Yes.
But he did have 10 other people
Fantastic.
that he chose.
Yes.
And I wasn't one of them because I'm not a good cook.
We're going to go for a break now, but I want to hear more about that. You've been watching Spirit of Life. Stay with us and we'll be back after the break. Hello, welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Barbara Kirsch. Welcome back, Barbara.
Thank you so much.
You were talking about your work with the disadvantaged and how your husband was started, having food for the people during Christmas, the people in hardship. You've always had a heart for people in hardship. Could you tell us more about your ministry to the poor?
Well, I never actually have thought to the poor. I just think they need help. And you just sort of see it and you think, what can I do? But it's mainly prayer ministry because I don't know whether I'm right or not, but I think if you can get them right, then they can go out and get a job. They can provide their money. It's a much better solution. And Mark had a farm. And what Mark and I did, well, he did before me, before I came on the scene, is we would take people who are addicted with smoking, drinking, drugs, gambling.
Wow.
Had a huge success with somebody with gambling. And we had a place in Melbourne, so I was seeing them Saturday. And out of those people that we saw on a Saturday, we would say, I think this person could really come good if they were to get some extra help. And so we'd invite them up to the farm.
I see.
And I think it was a pretty good record. We had about 50% rate of success.
Ah,
Now, of course, we actually invited the Holy Spirit.
yes.
We went to Mass every single day, when you could go to Mass every single day. And we would pray that the Lord would purify us and that he would help us with the people we would see that day. And that was our beginning. And then they'd come up, and they were very needy people.
So they would live with you for how long?
From a week, sometimes a week was enough, because we'd already been counselling them in Melbourne. Most people 6 weeks.
Wow. So that's great, because they had the intensity, they had the weekly prayer, but then 6 weeks where they were living on the property. So how often
Yes.
would you be ministering or praying with them?
Every
when
night.
Okay, so that's like 7 days a week. Wow.
Yes. Not at weekends, because we came down to Melbourne and I was seeing people on a Saturday.
Wow.
And Sunday was our day, the Lord's Day. We used to go to really nice restaurants and just enjoy
Relax,
ourselves. And that gave us strength for the next week.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And what was did you have a certain method you used in your prayer counseling or prayer ministry, as you call it?
LOVE.
Wow.
Love.
Wow.
That was our main thing, and everybody that came up, every single one, loved me or loved Mark. I'm not saying they disliked the other person, but, you know, would be really close to us on a couch. We didn't have television. We had a big fire going in front of us in the winter, and we listened to their stories. We made them number one.
Wow.
And by a lot of these people have never really been heard. Somebody might say, oh, what went wrong? Oh, yeah. Anyway, on Saturday I'm going such and such. They don't really listen. We listen. It is painful what a lot of people have gone through. They need someone to listen and to believe. And once they've believed, that's half. It seems to me that once you believe in them, you've got halfway.
Wow.
Then you can continue on.
But when you say once you believe in them, what do you mean by believe in them?
Because they've told many people and they don't
Oh,
believe.
okay, like a trust is built,
Yes.
kind of like
A lot
you
of
believe
people
their
have
story.
been sexually abused.
Oh.
And they've told their mothers or their fathers, and they've been punched, they've been hit and said, rubbish, this is absolute rubbish you're speaking. And then they start on drugs. All of them
Wow.
smoked,
Yeah.
gambled, lost their house.
Wow. And did you charge them for your services?
No.
Even for living for 6 weeks there, you didn't charge them?
No, in fact, when they got to a certain stage, we felt that they needed to learn to work. And it sounds really mean now, but this is 20 years ago. We gave them accommodation, food, all of our time, and we gave them we would think of a job for them to do, and we gave them $10 an hour. These people wouldn't work in an iron lung. But eventually, with Mark coaching them, showing them, towards the end, they could work because they hadn't worked. They didn't know what it was to work.
Right.
Their brain had to come back into gear. And one guy left us after 6 weeks, got himself a job at Tullamarine as a cleaner.
Wow.
So people have said to me, oh, cleaner, you've got to start somewhere.
Yes.
And he finished up being the cleaner at Tullamarine.
Fantastic.
That is a big job. So we like to see people wanting to just feel good about themselves. And there were some people, I did a lot of renovation work up there. In fact, I renovated the whole house, and I renovated, there was a 4-bedroom property as well. And I'd look out the window sometime and they'd just be supposed to be doing gardening. And they'd just be laying,
Daydreaming.
yes, on their shovel, and I'd say to Mark, that really annoys me because I am a worker.
Yeah.
And he said, darling, you don't know all the ins and
Yes,
outs
yeah.
of what's gone on in
Yeah.
their life. It
Yeah.
is wonderful that they're out in the fresh
Yes.
air.
Well, wonderful work you've been doing, and we'll go to a break now and hear more about that work. You've been watching Spirit of Life. Stay with us and we'll be back after the break.
Blow till I feel the breath of the Spirit blowing in me. Blow, blow, blow till I feel the breath of the Spirit blowing in me.
Hello, welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Barbara Kirsch. Welcome back, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Geraldine.
You've been talking about your work with people with addiction and mental illness and how you had them live with you. Were a lot of these people young people?
All of them were young people.
Yeah, yes.
Not necessarily the people that came to our house in Melbourne, but the people we had up there were all addicted in some way.
Yes. And how do you reach them to, in a sense that drugs can be a quick fix and alcohol can be a quick fix to their pain? How were you able to engage them?
Well, in actual fact, everybody that came to us had a terrible problem, something that they'd hidden from other people. And the Lord has given me a gift when I'm counselling that I can actually see what the problem is.
Wow.
And you have to be very, very careful because I always think, what about if I'm wrong? That would be so bad.
Yeah.
But I usually say, I feel that the Lord is saying to me, I could be wrong,
Yes.
but I feel the Lord is saying this happened to you. And they'll start crying.
Wow.
Perhaps they might fall on the floor and, you know, on their knees, and they're really distraught. But it's been my experience, unless you get to the point where it's really, really painful in their life and go through it with them, they'll remain the same. So if you can successfully do that, then they no longer have the horror and they no longer have the need for drugs or
Wow.
alcohol
Yes, because
or
that's covering.
cigarettes or whatever.
So because they're using that to cover up their pain or to treat their pain, aren't they? And
Yes.
I suppose I can remember that scripture where the woman at the well, and Jesus knew that she had 11 husbands or something like that, and in a
it was
sense,
5.
5 husbands.
And one she was living with.
Yes, and so he revealed the truth of her, and that brought her to kind of open up, didn't it?
Yes.
So would you say that the source of knowledge you're getting from God to reveal their pain?
Yes. And it certainly is the key
To
them being healed.
Yes.
But you must be very, very careful, because if you're wrong, that's why I always preface it, I think this is what I'm hearing.
Yes. And what happens after that when you reveal the pain, they start crying, then what do you do next?
Well, you pray with them and then go through it with them. And if they can't face the pain, they'll remain in that addiction. They have to go through the pain, which is excruciating for them and very hard on me to go through it with them.
Wow. Is it a one sitting or just many sittings of prayer?
It can be. It can be once.
Wow.
And it can be that you have to, I call it the onion peel, where you go through it and they're feeling so much better, but not 100%. And they'll ring you and say, it's come back again. And I say, all right, well, we're not going to be outdone by this thing. So come back and we'll do it all again. But it's never as painful. Every time it lifts to another level.
Right.
Until nothing is wrong.
So they tell the same story or a different angle to that story?
Probably a different way it hits them at that time. I have a very retentive memory for things like that. I don't keep notes.
Right, but you remember.
I actually said to the Lord 45 years ago, that's when I started, I said to him, you've got a bit of a gossip on your hands here. So I suggest to you that you take it completely out of my mind. Once they've gone, that's it.
Wow.
And the Lord has done that for me. But when they sit in front of me again, it all comes back like it was fresh.
Wow. It's
so
amazing.
don't ever ask me for any gossip because I don't have any.
That's a real gift. And also you support things like the World Youth Day, aren't you? And
Yes.
you were talking about something coming up.
Yes.
And I think that might be helpful for some young people to come to a social event and meet others and maybe
Yes.
meet you there.
Well, I've been offered the job to ring the bell. That's a big time.
Yeah, tell them about this.
So it says here, Fabulous Single Connecting, Saturday the 1st of July at 5 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Wow.
Now, it's at St Benedict's Parish Hall. We all know how great that is. 301 Warrigal Road, Burwood. And the booking is https://trybooking.com/CJCYH.
Could you say that part again, the www.trybooking?
Yes, of course. www.trybooking, TRYBOOking.com/CJCYH.
And if
Now,
people,
you have to have this done by the 27th
yes.
or you don't get in for any speed dating.
And those who are not single, what number do they have to ring?
Well,
041 3398528.
thank you.
041 3398528.
Thank
so you
you.
might be there with your...
Ringing the bell.
Yes. So thank you very much. It's great to have you, and I'd like to get you back next week to speak. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
You've been watching Spirit of Life. Join us again next week. Goodbye.